Hello, everybody. I'm Deloaded,
I'm Lucan.
and this is the DonFuer podcast. Today, we're here with Spartan512.
What is up, every pony?
He's a pretty well-known player. We got to meet him recently. So, can you tell us about when you joined 2B2T?
Yeah, I want to say somewhere around 2013, 2014, I remember seeing a picture of a completely destroyed Minecraft server, and how it was just like bombed to hell. I thought, that looks like a pretty cool place to visit. And I got on, and the first thing I saw was a giant swastika, and just racial slurs out the wazoo in chat, and I was like, this place is so messed up. I gotta find out what's here. And I kind of went from there. I spent about a year and a half just wandering around Spawn before I met James Russells, which everyone I'm pretty sure knows that name. And my affiliation with him led to me being in a lot of bases and in a lot of controversies and all that kind of stuff that 2B is known for.
So for your first year on the server, you just wandered around?
Yeah, I died a whole bunch. I didn't really build anything or make anything. I just I just wandered. There wasn't really much to it.
Okay. So, and you said you just saw a picture of the destroyed server. Did you see it on the internet, or was it in like an article back then, or?
I think it was on the internet. It probably was on Reddit, or I want to say it was on Reddit, or maybe on one of the. 4J was the maker of the port for Xbox 360. I think in one of their articles or one of their like fan pieces or something, it was mentioned, because I was playing Minecraft on Xbox 360 back then, and that was like, well, I need to find out how I can get on that. Then I got into Minecraft on PC, and that's how I found it.
Interesting.
I've got a question actually.
Hmm?
So, a big piece of your, on server persona is the ponies. Can you tell me where that originated?
Yeah, so I based with a guy named Tristan, and he was known for his just unabashed love and spamming of love for My Little Pony, and I had always known My Little Pony was a thing, and I always thought it was kind of weird. Never really got it. And then he's like, dude, watch this. And he just posted a link to a YouTube video for an episode, and I was like, okay, I understand why you like this. You're weird for liking it as much as you do, but I understand. And then I just liked it, like, unironically, just like it reminded me of my childhood, because the creators of it are the same people that made, like, Dexter's Lab and Powerpuff Girls and all those old cartoons that I remember growing up. It was just nostalgic. But then people started, like, hating on me for saying anything positive about My Little Pony. So I was like, okay, this is going to become my persona now, and I'm going to make everyone hate me for liking it this much.
Oh, that's very interesting. So, you sort of took on that mantle of, oh yeah, I'm just gonna build the ponies everywhere, just to
because it's
snub
I just do it,
everyone.
like, it's wholesome for me. Like, it's just something I enjoy. Like, the art is friendly and wholesome and whatnot, and everyone just hates it so much. I'm like, okay,
Yeah,
this bugs you that much, I'm just gonna keep going because it just fuels me.
yeah, I think that's fair. I think a lot of people. I mean, I don't know. Are bronies still a thing in 2022? I guess they are, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of not as big as it used to be, though, right?
Probably not as big, but like everything, it goes in waves.
But I kind of remember when everyone was hating on it, and a lot of people just thought it was weird. But I think the people that really had like hardcore hatred for it were just like, I don't know, they were almost somewhat bullying, you know? It's just like, let people like what they want to like.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's cool that you chose to just kind of fight back and say, nah, I don't care. You know, I'm gonna build this at every base.
And I did 4 or 5 different bases. I've got random giant Rainbow Dash statues and pixel arts spread around the place. And then obviously my claim to fame being Aureus City, where I based with James and Kane's Law and FitMC and all of them, where I built the pony map, the giant Rainbow Dash head on a map, and that actually got put into the Rock Paper Shotgun article that was made.
I actually never knew that. Wow.
Yeah, when was that article? Was that 2015 that article came out?
Let me check.
Because I was reading that the other day. Somebody posted it and I was reading it. Or I forgot. That was before... Was that before Rusher or after Rusher? Or
That was, I think, just before Rusher.
Okay.
Yeah, because it was James that actually led
the guy through the ruins and stuff.
Through
Yeah.
Spawn. And because they were able to do that, I'm going to say that was just before Rusher.
Right, because after Rusher they would have been killed like immediately.
They would have been destroyed, and it wouldn't have been they would have been stuck in the queue.
Yeah. So you met James Russells, and would you say that he was like one of your best friends, or maybe still is?
He became a really, really close friend. We still stay in touch. He's helped me a lot actually in my career, giving me pointers and stuff to get into the IT world. So he's partially to blame for my success there.
Oh, good. Well, it's always interesting when you meet someone on a Minecraft server and they end up becoming a really close friend.
Yeah, we've all become. We had a group back in. Sounds like a really cliche thing to say, but back in the day, we all had a Skype group that we would talk on. We didn't use Discord. That wasn't really popular back then. And,
like back in 2015, you're saying? Or
yeah, 2014, 2015.
Okay.
Into even 2016, we all had just Skype groups that we would chat in.
All of the 2B2T players, or just your like clique of players?
Our clique, but like it was the thing to use, kind of.
Yeah.
Like at least in all of the groups I was ever part of. And that wasn't just like the same group or the same subset of people. It was everyone that kind of played seriously and played the metagame.
Yes.
And definitely were planning outside of the server. Like they all used Skype, which was weird in retrospect.
No, I remember that. I mean, I wasn't on 2B when that was going on, but I used to play factions at that same time. And that's exactly what everyone did. It was all Skype.
Yeah. So we all had Skype groups, and there was one Skype group that was pretty long-lasting. I'd say it lasted probably 4 or 5 years. We were the Pickle Gang. It's a very long, winding story as to why we were the Pickle Gang, but we were the Pickle Gang. And some of us are still very much in contact today. I actually met someone I would say is pretty much my best friend in that group. She, so much so that we have met her IRL. She's blown out to where I live twice now. Met my daughter, met my wife, the whole 9 yards. Like we're pretty tight.
Can you say who that is, or is that not a?
That's Nat in the Hat. Nat in the Hat 8 is her username.
Interesting. Is she so? She was a 2B2T player back in the day as well.
Yep, she got her start at the names of the bases kind of escape.
There's been so many too.
Yeah, it was Sleepy Little Fox's base, the one with the Quint spawner. It's all on Turban's archive server, but it's Sleepy Little Fox's base with the Quint spawner. that's where she got started, and then she just kind of slowly fell in with all of us and got included in all the various Skype groups and invited randomly to places.
Yeah, that's so cool. That's so cool. Honestly, I feel like I have a lack of knowledge about 2B2T history. Because I joined in 2016, and most of the people I hang out with right now joined in like 2020.
Yeah.
So in order to find out anything about what happened, I have to like go look on the wiki, or maybe dig up an old Fit video. So it's interesting to talk to someone that had that experience. So you said you were in a group called Pickle Gang. Was that like an actual group? Like you guys did bases?
Yeah, I mean we were all at the same base at least one point or another.
Oh.
It might not necessarily have been our base.
Okay.
And we always had, illusions of grandeur of going out and building our own base finally. And the premise behind the name was it was a fictional bar called the Slippery Pickle. So there was going to be a giant like tavern style build in the center of the base that was going to have a giant pickle built over it, and it was the Slippery Pickle. So we were all the pickle.
Oh.
It I don't even know. I think FTS or Fat Squire, or he had a bunch of different aliases and alts. That was his thing, his idea, and we all thought it was hysterical, so we just rolled with it.
Okay. Okay.
And I'm sure that again, this is so long ago that a lot of these memories are very fuzzy, but there's someone wrecked me somewhere on that. But that's how I remember it, is that we were all, it was his idea, we were the Pickle Gang, and we were going to eventually build a giant bar to all of us hang out in, because that's how we treated the Skype group. It was just, the hangout spot.
Yeah. Just a casual hangout. So,
yeah.
Were you guys all... You said you guys were all at the same bases together. How was base security handled when it was just on Skype? Like, how did that work?
It was actually pretty easy, because we kind of had a basic rule: is if you were talking about the base directly, you didn't use game chat. Period. Like, that was just, you didn't use it. Now it wasn't like any kind of, if you do use game chat, then you get banned or anything like that. No, you just didn't use it. And if you did, then you'd get scolded, and everyone would be on high alert for a couple days, and we'd just move on with our lives. But Asgard 2 was the one where we all kind of solidified our friendships, I think. That's where I came into the fold, at least. Me, Nat, that's when Fit based with us all, and he got kind of wrapped up into the whole group. So yeah, we didn't really talk about anything that had to do with in-game stuff in-game.
Mm-hmm.
We talked to each other, asked about how everyone's day's going, just chit-chat in general. But if it had to do with security, or we needed to make sure stuff was safe, then we always went to Skype. And that made it really easy and helped keep stuff safe.
So you were part of Asgard 2. Would that make you a Valkyria member then?
I think I'm an honorary member. I was not part of the original bases, so I don't know. I mean, I got along with Sato, but Sato was really, really into the role-playing aspect of the whole thing, and I just wanted to get drunk and hang out with my friends.
Uh-huh. But did you participate in the third incursion?
I did. I was at the Spawn incursion base when it was being built.
The Wrath Outpost?
Yep. When Dorkmadia, however you say his name, when he used his client injection mod, whatever the hell it was, that awesome piece of software he wrote, It was like the predecessor to Baritone. He used that to build it, and I was there while he was doing it, and I thought it was the coolest damn thing ever. I never did get that thing to work on my own. I tried, and I got like maybe a very, very small 20 by 20 build done with it, and I was like, this is way too much work for me.
Interesting. And then, so after Asgard 2 was destroyed, you do the third incursion, and then you said that's what solidified your friendship with most of these people. Where did you go after that?
So, third incursion, that should have been, if I remember right, it was right before this space, and I had a few other things going on.
Right before Arius?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Aureus
So-
lasted all the way up until Rusha
Like 2017.
came, right?
Yeah, 2017-ish. Yep. Right until this space, I had another project out in the middle of nowhere where it was actually the genesis of the idea for Project Vault, where I wanted to rebuild a bunch of the notable builds like Valley of Wheat and the Jesus statue and a bunch of other things. I wanted to do all that in one base to be like a little museum right here on the server. And I went out there, had a bunch of people invited. They all said they were coming, and I built there for probably 3, 4, 5 months, and no one ever came, and I got like 6 or 7 of the builds done, and I decided it wasn't worth it to stay out there because clearly no one else was coming. So I /killed the spawn and started over somewhere else. Just started wandering. I remember during that time, I just think that was 2015, 2016, so that would have been around the time that we found Imp Base, which was a big deal too. That was right around the whole founding of Aureus. Imp Base, if for anyone that doesn't know, that's like one of the most famous bases on the server. It's where the Jesus statue comes from. That was on the homepage of 2B2T for years until the page actually went down. It was one of the first major bases that was reached. I think they got there using hacks, like exploits. I'm not 100% sure on that, but their base security was through the roof. Like, to be applauded. And the first time it was found was by Pop Bob, who found it by getting onto the nether roof and just auto-walking for days. And he actually just ran into something on the roof that stopped him from moving, and that's how he found the base.
Wow.
So he was the first one to find it, and he promised not to destroy it because it was so big and so cool. And then years and years later, when we found it, it was a twofold thing that led to that discovery. The first thing was James discovered some files, some region files in Tristan's GitHub account that happened to line up with a strange place in the Nether, and I recognized the region file because someone had sent me some world saves to be added to the vault and accidentally included region files for the Nether that should not have been there. And when I loaded them up and went in, I didn't recognize anything. There wasn't anything notable, but I was like, whatever. So I just deleted them and moved on. Well, when James had found those region files from Tristan's GitHub, he said them. I was like, that is very familiar. And so we started digging. We pulled up a seed generator to see what the map would look like in that area, and we put 2 and 2 together and like, this is Imp Base. Like, we got to start going because this is a big thing. So me, James, and Kane's Law spent about 3 days manually digging and walking through the nether to get there. And it was mostly all Canes that did the digging. I don't know how the hell he managed to do that. And he did it in 3 days, dug from, I want to say, oh hell, I don't even know. I think we were 500,000 out at that point, and Imp Base was like 1 million by 1.2 million, something like that. So he just dug, and we walked out there, and when we came through 2 portals. The first one was Hardhat's giant pyramid. Yeah, that tesseract looking thing. That was freaking awesome to find. And then after that, the next portal we found, we walked through it, and we're at the foot of the giant Christ the Redeemer statue. And that was freaking awesome. At that point, we're just like, we're done. Or at least for me, it was like, I have no reason to play anymore. I won the game of 2v2t. I found the unfindable base.
Interesting. So after that, you felt like you had done everything?
Yeah, pretty much. I was invited to Aureus around then. Again, I don't really remember if it was before or after that little excursion, but between that and building the map, I kind of lost interest in playing altogether. I just got on to talk to people and to shitpost, chat, and just hang out.
Interesting. So you were online. Were you around at the time that Rusha started to bring new people to the server, or did you quit before that?
I was still around for that.
Well, sorry. By the way, Luke, you can jump in if you have anything here. I don't.
Okay.
If you're quiet, you're being kind of quiet. So.
I'm just listening, man.
Yeah. But yeah, tell us about that. What was it like to be an old player at the time that Rusha joined?
It was bizarre because up until that point, like 2B was kind of on its way out. Like it would fluctuate between 5 players online to I think at most like 20, 30. Like it wasn't really a thing like popular. Like it wasn't. No one would wait in a line to get on. Like it was just dead, and it was the same group of people on all the time with your random new friend at spawn. Like that was the population. So when people started coming in droves, it was bizarre. And even like watching the chat change, like we used to be able to hold full conversations in chat, and all of a sudden after Rusha, like you couldn't even read chat. It was moving so damn fast.
Oh yeah, it's impossible even today. It's impossible.
Yeah, it was so strange, and with Fit blowing up, that was weird. Like because he was just our base mate, he was a guy we knew that made funny videos for his friends on YouTube, and then getting crazy famous off of it. That was a bizarre experience. Seeing all that happen.
Were you someone that was wanted to be involved with all of the the drama, or were you someone that kind of watched mostly?
Mostly watched. I know there was a period where I wanted to be involved because of the whole the vault and trying to save bases, and my first thought was, hey, maybe I can capitalize off this myself. Was kind of my original idea, and then I don't know, it blew up so fast that it was very hard to keep up with, and if you didn't make it your full-time job, then you were just gonna get left behind, and I decided it just wasn't worth it. It's a block game. Video game version of Lego. It's not worth it.
Okay, so well, go ahead, Lucan.
Are you still like kind of close with the current community? Would you say?
Oh no, absolutely not. I was invited to a gathering recently, and that's like this past, I don't know, 4 days is the most interaction I've had with 2B2T in 4 or 5 years.
So when did you really stop? Because you were still there when the Rusher thing happened. When did you really check out? And was it a slow process, or was there a single moment that you decided you weren't going to be playing anymore?
It was pretty much a single moment. Between Rusher and the whole, there was a whole period of just distrust with the owner-operator, where we didn't really know if he was legit. We didn't know if there were players that were behind the scenes doing stuff that had access to backdoors and knew where everyone was at all times. Like, I'm all for an Anarchy server, but if someone can just look in a DAT file and find out where everyone is, like, you can't fight back against that. And the whole point of Anarchy is that everyone's on the same playing field. You can do whatever you want, it doesn't matter. Well, when someone has access to the entire server's coordinates, that's not really everyone on the same playing field. And that, with the queue times, and I had enough. And I went to Constantium after that. And I lasted there for, I don't know, I think we killed the dragon, we set up a base out in the millions, I built several giant map arts, and then just, I think after a year, 2 years, I just stopped playing altogether. I don't even know what the genesis of it was, I just stopped playing, just had no interest anymore.
Interesting. Very interesting. Lucan, do you have any questions?
Yeah. So, actually, I don't.
Oh,
Yeah, I did.
is there any like base or cool experience you've had on the server that hasn't come up yet that you want to mention?
I think my favorite, like, just cool experience I've had. So, do you guys know about Space Valkyria?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Very, very famous.
The original big circle one out in the middle of at the end.
Yes.
I got to the end for the first time ever because all the portals were destroyed, and then at some point House put them back for some reason. Never really, there was no explanation. Someone was like, hey, the end portals are back. So I made the trek to spawn to find them. I got through, and I very carefully made my way around the end, and I found a bridge. And I had no idea about Space Valkyria. I didn't even know there was anything going on out there. I just wanted to see what was going on in the end, because I've experienced everything else about 2B, so I just wanted to walk around there. And I'm walking around, and I find this bridge, this one-by-one bridge going out in the middle of nowhere. And I just start walking on it, and I see off to the side is a shadow that's barely rendering in. I'm walking on this fucking bridge, covered in Endermen, and trying not to look at any of them. And all the time that this is happening, in the background, the music, I had the music on, I played with music on back then. The music for the end was playing, and it's at that part where it just starts building and building and building. And as I'm coming down this damn path, the entirety of Space Valk renders in at once, just as like the bass drop hits in the music. And I didn't know it was there, I wasn't expecting it, and it was just the coolest damn thing I've seen in Minecraft in a long time. Synced perfectly with the music from Minecraft, and I was like, wow, someone's got a lot of time on their hands, and this is amazing.
Interesting.
It was just very surreal.
So
I've actually thought about a question.
Okay.
Do you think there's any misconceptions about, older 2B that you could think of that new players probably wouldn't know?
I don't know. So, like, a lot of the pop-up things think is a big misconception, like that he was like some master hacker type thing. That's a big one. It's not so much that he was a master hacker, he was just a fantastic manipulator more than anything else. That he could convince someone to put some shitty code onto a server that literally any script kiddie could write. Like he wasn't a fantastic coder or anything, he just happened to find an exploit that was widely known and convinced House to put it on the server. That kind of stuff. And another thing is, like, I think that people joke about how dangerous 2B is, like, you know, you'll get swatted and that kind of shit. Like, that stuff actually did happen. And, like, people are... You didn't ever want your in-game name tied to your real-life personality in any way, shape, or form, because people... You tick off the wrong person, they're going to find you. And they will let you know that they have found your place of residence. They have found your employer. They will send stuff to your employer. That happened to a friend of mine. Like, a base mate found out that somebody that was mad at him sent his employer an email calling him a racist and all this bad stuff that he did, which was obviously a lie, but old 2B was, you didn't fuck around on it. Because fuck around and you find out. Like, they will fuck with you back. And I just don't see that happening in the most recent, I don't know, 5 days I've been in chat. Like, it's just kids yelling at each other for the most part. And it's not the serious shit that I remember seeing.
Well...
There's two sides, basically.
Yeah.
Kind of the wholesome builders side and then the doxing PvPer side.
The community is very split now. There's a surface level to it where there's a lot more casual stuff going on. It's just a lot of people yelling at each other in chat. But the deeper you go into the community, you do still find things like that happening occasionally. I mean, I would hope that it's not as bad now. I think maybe it is getting slightly better. But I don't know. I mean, occasionally there are stories of that still happening.
Well, nice to know 2B doesn't change.
Well, that's something I wish would change, because it's just awful, honestly, that would happen.
Yeah, it is. It's not... I wouldn't say it's one of the reasons I left, because it was part of the... I wouldn't say allure, but it was part of the reason you hung out on 2B was, like, there's always that chance of somebody finding out who you are type thing. Like, it was exciting to be part of that dangerous area, that dangerous part of the internet.
I guess. I mean, the server had a kind of a edgy reputation. I mean, I remember when I joined in 2016. I mean, I joined basically based off YouTube videos that I saw, and in all of the videos I saw, it was always billed as like, this is the world's most dangerous server and blah blah blah, and all that stuff, you know. So yeah, I get what you mean. It is sort of an aesthetic, I guess.
It was like the first charisma of the server, though. I mean, that's how it was actually advertised, right?
Back in the day, yes.
Yeah,
back in the day.
But now it's kind of just like...
I think it's become so mainstream now that that's not really feasible.
I remember, so I joined because it was like, oh, it's this dangerous, edgy place, and like I thought it was fascinating that all this stuff was going on, and I always was like, wow. It was a reminder anytime I saw it happening that, you know, you can get pretty messed up if you're on the wrong person's bad side. But the reason I stayed around was because of the more wholesome builders, like you said, like the people that just want to create crap. Like, that's why I stuck around. That's the good part of 2B.
That's definitely true. And there is no server like it at all in the world. There's not really... I mean, I don't know. Maybe Constantium was that way during the very beginning of its life or something. I don't know, but 2B2T has this. It's this weird combination of anarchy plus like mass market appeal.
Yeah.
Which is such a weird combination, and I think it's very, very hard for any other server to ever compare to that.
Yeah, agreed.
And it also has just this insane history that other servers don't have. Like, before I joined 2B2T, I played faction servers for years and years and years. And the issue with that was I would build up this faction, and I would have, you know, a big group of people, and we'd all make a base together, and it would be the biggest base of the server or whatever, and we would have huge success. And then it's like, oh, guys, Minecraft updated, so we're going to have to update the map. And then, like, everything we did just gets wiped out. So part of the reason I was attracted to 2B was that that's a place where that never happens.
Yeah, I mean, it's essentially the same thing as a faction server. I never played on a faction. I mean, I never played most types of Minecraft that everyone else is familiar with.
Really?
Factions, I've never played Mineplex, I've never played any of the minigame server, I've never played on any of them. This is the only server I've ever played on. Aside from single player.
No kidding.
This is the only Minecraft experience I've ever had.
It's pretty common though. Lunchkatsu said the same thing.
Yeah, but that's so weird, right? It's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna join Minecraft multiplayer. That sounds like a good idea. And the first place you go is 2B. Like,
I don't even like when you say it like that. Yeah, it sounds absolutely ridiculous. I don't even know why. It just, I don't know.
I couldn't imagine. Like, I mean, when I started playing Minecraft multiplayer, I was probably like a high schooler, like, or maybe I was even in middle school, because the game came out in like 20. I mean, I started playing in 2012, so, but like I can't imagine logging in to 2B2T in 2012, and like I just couldn't possibly imagine it. I couldn't possibly imagine. I remember I used to be an admin. I was an admin on a couple different faction servers, and I used to like be like, "Oh, you have too much redstone. There's no way someone would be able to mine that much. You're banned." Like, like I'm like, you must be X-raying. Banned. I was a terrible admin. Like I was like hacking equals bad. Like,
and it's like anytime. So I had a couple friends that had absolutely no interest in playing on this server, but they liked Minecraft. So like on the same machine that I ran the vault out of, I set up a couple just private servers for me and my friends, and I knew they played legit. I knew they played with 100% vanilla clients, and it took everything I had to not load up a client. Like at half the time I'm like this is a waste of time.
Oh my gosh.
X-ray, I'd make sure I had my text radar and my tracers on so I could know where they were at all times, and I'd just go to town, and then they'd be like, how the hell do you have a house made of diamonds and we're still punching trees?
oh my gosh.
Like, I'm sorry, like I don't have time to, you know, punch trees anymore. Like,
oh,
and at that point I had been playing 2B for 2 or 3 years. So
yes.
And you cannot play this game. I mean, personally, I don't think it's even worth it playing this game, this server, without a client.
No, I 100% agree. I know somebody. We've got someone in our group right now who plays vanilla, and I can't believe it. Every single day, I just want to start yelling at them and telling them they need to go download like Impact or something at the bare minimum.
Yeah.
It's crazy, and that's something you hit the nail on the head with. Like, once you start using hacks, you kind of can't go back.
Especially vanilla though, like
right.
Mini games like Hypixel, I could see that. But like if you're, I can't.
Just going back to vanilla, it's so. I can't even
Yeah.
imagine not having baritone. That's weird.
No hack, you can't
You
go
see
back.
that?
It's probably
Baritone
easy
is
for
a
you to imagine
weird
that, right?
thing for me too, because that a lot of people are just like baritone is standard. Like you don't use auto walk. Why would you use auto walk? Use baritone because it can navigate around things. Yet when I was playing, like you had auto walk, you had literally a stack of dimes on your W key sometimes. That kind of shit. Like you went to town and it was all manual. So sometimes I forget that baritone's a thing. Even when it came out and I was still active, like I never used it. People were like, "Why is it taking you so long to build that map? You said you started that like a month ago." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm still building it."
Well, was
How?
Schematica even a thing?
Yeah. A lot of my builds, I'm not a good builder. I'm going to come right out and say that I'm not a very creative person. I can be when I really want to, but as I said before, I don't got time for that. So
Yeah.
a lot of my builds are stuff I found really cool in random places, and I just copied it with
Made a
World
scam.
Download. I made a schematic of it, and then I rebuilt it somewhere else because I really liked it.
So I take it that the ponies, or like the pony pixel art, was Schematica.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, they were all pixel arts that I found, and then
Yeah.
like the Pony Alley was not from Minecraft. The Pony Alley wasn't like a schematic that I copied from somewhere. That was a actual pixel art that I turned into a schematic using another program, and then built it using Schematica.
Because I feel like it would be so hard to just make a pixel art from
Oh yeah,
scratch.
it's incredibly difficult. Yes.
Like, I'm a builder, but I have never done. I mean, I've not really ever done pixel art. I feel like that would be so difficult.
The pony map was a pixel art. It was a picture that I turned into super low resolution and then ran through a map maker.
Oh yeah.
And built by hand.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Those websites where you put a picture in and it turns it into
Yep.
a Minecraft map
It
art.
turns it into a pixel art, and then you go to another website that specializes in telling you what materials you need to make what colors, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, that's how I built that map.
But you know, so when Baritone came out, you were probably playing Constantium, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. I didn't adopt Baritone. I was a late adopter. I didn't start using it until 2020.
Mm.
And I know it had come out at least a few years before that. Because I was like, you know, being an old man, I'm like, oh, this damn technology, I can do it better myself. I don't need the robot or whatever. And now it's like, I can't possibly imagine somebody manually walking somewhere. I couldn't possibly imagine it. Even though it's something I frickin' did.
Yeah.
You know? I can't.
That's the only way to do things. Was to walk. Just walk.
Right.
Like half the time we joked and all called Tubi the walking simulator.
Walking simulator was like boat speed or something, or like entity speed. Was that a thing? Could you get on a horse and?
I think it was, but it wasn't anything like it is now. I mean, it wasn't even that. It was just basically just a speed hack. Like the standard running speed is 20 kilometers an hour, and you could get like 25 or 30 using the right client with the right packet hacks.
Which, by the way, that's the default Minecraft movement speed is way, way, way faster than anyone can move in real life.
I mean,
like,
a lot of elytra flies nowadays go up to like 311 kilometers an hour. That's like
but like
traffic.
20, but like the Minecraft character walks like 20 blocks per second or something. That's like Olympic freaking sprinter speeds.
Yeah.
If you translate that to real life.
Slow.
Yeah, and it's still too slow. Right, exactly. Exactly. I wanted to touch on something you mentioned earlier. You said that you saw Space Valk. Did you meet Jack the Ripper at the time, or?
Oh, not at the time, no. I think at that point he had already abandoned ship, or
Okay.
at least was not logging in because of that walkway that led out there. He
Oh.
had not built that, and was aware that someone had come by, and he.
So it was
trying to lay
abandoned
low.
when you found it.
Yeah, it was just before that. I would say within a month of me doing that prior, Bit had actually done his flyby in the end using his flying machine. And he had seen it in his video. Like, I saw that on stream when he was doing it. And it was just, you couldn't see the actual base. You could just see the vague, dark shadow outline of it.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, what's that over there? What's that? And then by the time he like got to trying to figure out what it was, he was already past it in his machine because he was going for the world record or whatever at the time. And he didn't care anymore. But I actually referenced that stream recording to make sure, like, is this what he had seen? Like, that thing. So when I showed up and saw it, there was no one around. There was no one logging in. There wasn't even any important, like, stash items, anything like that. It was, like, the whole base was there, but there wasn't anything of note left behind. They had already abandoned ship.
Did you meet Jack the Ripper after that, or?
Yeah, a few times.
Okay.
I had actually based with him. He was at Asgard 2.
Okay.
He was was the one that invited me to, I think was it Snacky North's? It was called The Land. The Land of Norths and N-words.
Uh-huh. Oh, I see.
Place, that base.
Thank you for not saying that, by the way.
Oh, yeah. No,
I would have to edit that out.
That's fine. Yeah, that he invited me out there because he knew it was going to be torched within days, and he knew about me in the vault, so he was like, hey, if you want it, here's how you get to it, and that's how I found about the bed teleportation glitch, which I tried explaining that to someone the other day, and I cannot remember how the hell it works. I just remember there was a bed in the overworld at coordinates that corresponded to a bed in the nether, and somehow you slept in one and woke up in the other. And it let you go from, like, spawn to 8 million in about 2 seconds.
Mm-hmm. So what base was found using that? Because I remember hearing about this, but I don't remember.
The lands.
That was
the land.
That was the lands. Okay.
Yeah, the land. Well, it wasn't necessarily found. The coordinates got leaked, and then it was destroyed via that method. Between that and I think Jared also used the bed TP to get to Imp Base, which he destroyed on Christmas Day. And my account there could not have done anything. 1, because I'm crap at PvP, and 2, because it was Christmas Day, and I was at family, doing family things.
Right. So can you tell us about the vault? Was that the old museum, or like prior to Turban's server, or?
Yeah. So
it was an in-game project with like a bunch of
well, wait a
remnants of old base.
What? Is it? Okay.
It was essentially exactly what Turban has, just a much scaled down and much more like grassroots version of it.
Is that the server where you log in? Because I remember this. This was still a thing in like 2017. It was this server where you log in and it's Wrath Outpost, but there's all these portals inside of it?
Yep.
That's okay, and that was a server?
That was my server, yeah.
That was your server. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Yeah.
So I probably joined that a couple times and like looked at some bases back when that was a thing. When did that shut down? Or
I want to say 2017, 2018, somewhere in there.
okay.
That was run from a server in my house, in my basement. I had a full enterprise-grade server running it, because I do some other stuff on the side that I use that hardware for. So I had extra cycles to spend, so I was like, I'm going to run a Minecraft server off of this. And the initial reason for that server was because at the time when I started, trying to remember what the hell we were talking about before that.
I think it was the.
I was talking about the
Object
vault. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So the vault server, when it eventually shut down, did you give all of your files to Turbin, and is that how he started the archive, or did he go get those separately?
So he actually got most of his stuff separately. I guess he was inspired by the vault and the idea of archiving everything, and he really wanted the same thing. So
Uh-huh.
I don't know if he didn't know how to reach me or what, but he did all of that on his own. And well before Turbin had ever come into the scene, there was another player whose name I cannot remember, who was trying to do the same thing, but I don't know. The server was weird. Like, it had strange plugins in it, and like random players could just have admin abilities, and it was a whole weird situation. Like, he had a inner circle, and he was constantly asking me for my vault files, and I was just not cool with giving it to him. So I just held on to it all, and um, the server just it sat dark. I mean, I think it was when I turned it off, it was still on 1.11, maybe. I don't know. It was a really old version of Minecraft, and I had to update a lot of stuff in order to get it to run when I was checking stuff for Turbin. um, uh, but he contacted me, Turbin, and was like, "Hey, I'm a huge fan. Do you have anything you'd be willing to part with?" And I looked him up and I looked into his stuff. I joined his server and I was like, dude, you can have everything. So I transferred the entirety of my Vault server over to him and he put the entire thing on his archive server.
Mm-hmm.
It's got its own separate section that's basically just a whole different dimension that's just my world files. So some of them are copies of stuff he's already got, but in different conditions or different time periods or whatever. Um, his version is everything I wanted mine to be.
Yeah.
Um,
I
being able,
believe that's started by him and Hermetic Lock. I think Herm's funding it, and then Turbin's the main manager for it.
gotcha.
That was
Yeah,
my understanding of it anyway. But
yeah. He being able to have multiple versions of a base is amazing, and the fact that he can pretty much just take a region file and just make it its own warp. Like the way I was doing it, I would world download something, I would shut down the vault server, I would import the physical region files into the the world folder for my vault server, and then boot the server back up, and then go explore and make sure that the regions were actually there and all the chunks had loaded properly and all that stuff. Like, it was a very time consuming and complicated mess. And I don't know how he's doing it, but it's way more efficient. And the fact that he doesn't have any terrain generating means that it's exactly the way it was on 2B2T. You don't have to worry about any of that crap. And on top of that, it's not on a server running in his basement off of his own personal IP address. And that's the primary reason I shut down the vault, is because it was my own home internet that was running off of. So, like I said earlier, like, you tick off the wrong people, then they will come after you. Well, that means that I could get DDoSed and not have internet capabilities, and
right.
I'm not about to do that just because I want to run a Minecraft server of a very toxic server. So I was always hesitant to open it to the world because that means that the world would be trying to knock on my digital front door, and I didn't know how to transfer that. And I was always very big on keeping everything in-house. If I was going to do it, I wanted to do it right, and I wanted to be able to have physical hold of that data because anything could go wrong on a hosted situation. and I didn't want to risk that with, because a lot of the when it started, all of the bases were all like my bases I was part of, bases my friends were part of, and it meant something to me, and I didn't want that all to go away in case of some server error at a hosting solution or a data center somewhere. So I wanted to make sure I had my backups of it locally, and that's why I never went to a hosted solution. But yeah, so I love everything that Turbin's done because it, like I said, it's everything I couldn't do.
That's good. That's good. Well, one of the most important parts of 2B2T is the history. So I definitely admire the effort to preserve it. Um, so you've had a long and interesting story on the server. You've played long before most of the people that are probably going to be listening to this. Do you have any advice for someone that's listening?
Uh, if you've made actual friends, you know that they're probably friends for life. Other than that, get off 2B. Just get off 2B2T because it will consume everything about you.
Let's conclude the interview with advising people to quit.
I mean, hey, it's worked for me.
I mean, okay. So that yeah, is that your final thoughts?
uh, kind of. I mean,
All right.
I love my time on it, but holy crap, looking back, like I spent almost way too much time on this game. So I don't know. It's a very complicated emotion I feel towards it.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you talking to us. This has been a really fantastic interview. Do you have anything do you have like a YouTube, or do you have anything you want us to plug in before we
Nah,
go? No?
I don't really have any of the socials. My
Okay.
YouTube is a lot of people from Tubi have actually found my YouTube because I
Oh.
posted like 2 videos that were just test things to see if a client plugin worked
Oh.
to fly around the Pony Alley at Aureus City, and they, I think I've got like 100 subscribers because of that. But yeah,
Yeah.
the only thing I use that YouTube for is to auto upload clips from like Call of Duty and Halo and shit like
All
that.
right.
So it's not active.
All right.
No need to plug anything.
Awesome. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that has been Spartan512, a very famous player. Thank you for coming on, man. I really enjoyed the conversation.
Thanks for having me.